So I'll say Colorado is the best place to serve a mission. I'm sure everyone says that. So I was originally called the Colorado Denver South Mission, which covers just a tiny smidge of Denver, and which is in the middle of the state, and kind of goes out to the Utah border, on a kind of triangle, covers the mountains. I heard a lot of good things about that mission. I've been psyched up to go there, but the moment we get there, we learned that the mission's going to split. They're going to create a Fort Collins mission in northern Colorado. Because of that, the missions are going to merge together and separate in certain ways. So I served 6 months in the Colorado Denver South mission, then moved to the Colorado Denver North mission, which was basically just Denver metro area. It was funny because the Colorado Denver North mission lost almost all of its landmass to the Fort Collins mission, but gained downtown Denver, which made its population triple, quadruple easily. And it's the best mission ever, I could say. There are about 9 stakes in my mission, and 4 missions in Colorado, which is about 9 each. So the membership is pretty strong. The people there, the members are amazing. Probably one of my favorite parts about serving a mission is just meeting with the members and seeing their testimonies and learning how they gained theirs and learning from them how I can better serve people. Obviously, a lot of people are return missionaries. As you work with them, as you teach with them, they can teach you how to teach better, and they can bring in their special spirit, their own personal experiences that bring the Holy Ghost to testify to the people that we're teaching. In my mission, there's just English and Spanish missionaries. Although we didn't really mix much with the Spanish missionaries, they're kind of like their own mission sometimes. There used to be a Laotian ward a few years ago that covered like my entire mission, but that was disbanded for some reason. I don't know why. Other cool things about Colorado. There's this thing called Voodoo Donuts, which I hear originated in Oregon, but it's a cult favorite there. People wait in line for hours to get these donuts downtown. I know some missionaries that did. Donuts are actually really good there. There's another one called, I think it's, oh man, I forgot it. Oh well, there are a few really great donut places that everyone's crazy about. Main competition to Mormonism in Colorado is Broncoism. Everyone's crazy about the Broncos. Crazy. Attracting Sunday nights when the Broncos are playing are just impossible. During the Super Bowl, when they were playing, it wasn't easy time to do missionary work. No one wanted to talk to you. When they won the playoffs, people were out in the streets just yelling and cheering, all wearing their blue and orange, faces painted, throwing footballs everywhere. It was really, really awesome. Really cool cultural event. It's kind of sad how people are crazy about the Broncos and don't really want to talk about religion at all. But definitely the biggest challenge to sharing the gospel is that competing gospel of Broncos. So there's a temple. The temple is in the Colorado Denver South mission, but because it's so close to the North mission and because it was in the South mission, our mission president worked out an agreement with the temple president where we could go once a month. So in the South mission, it was every first Wednesday we'd go. We'd go like 7 in the morning. In the North mission, it was every third Wednesday that we would go. And it was a huge blessing to be able to go to the temple and receive revelation through that. Most missions don't get to go to the temple. Maybe once in their mission they get to go. So that's a huge blessing. And the spirit of the temple is incredible. As we go and as you see your friends there that you haven't seen in a while, you haven't turned around in a while. That's what I feel like taught me about what the celestial kingdom is going to be like. Because as you're standing there and you're waiting for people, you don't know who's going to come in. You don't know who's in this session, because we have to go to a few sessions. And you see someone you really love come to the session, and you're like, yes, they made it. It's kind of, I always applied that to how the celestial kingdom will be. We're waiting around. We're just so hopeful that we've all made it, that everyone has been able to come and lived worthily. In the same way that the people you come to teach and come to love, the investigators and the members who aren't as active, all you want is for them to be there and experience that happiness is going to be there in the celestial kingdom. It was a huge blessing. And towards the end of my mission, I guess towards the middle of my mission, they announced the Fort Collins temple, which will be built in the Fort Collins mission. It was kind of another reason why they split the missions. I don't know when that will be completed, but we were able to see the groundbreaking, and it was really, really good. All the members are really excited. In my mission, and I think this is the same throughout the world, but the church is about half active, which is really sad. Meaning you'll go to the directories, looking through the names of the directory of members in the ward, and you'll recognize about half of them because you've seen half of them at church. The other half, either they've moved, which is so common, and just didn't tell anyone because they're trying to hide from the church, or they have more important things, they work on Sunday, or they just don't want to go. They don't have testimony. We meet a lot of people who are baptized at 8, and then their parents fall away, and so they're never really raised in the gospel. So they don't consider themselves Mormon at all. They get mad when we stop by. One guy I even had, he was blessed as a baby, and then nothing more. His parents stopped going to church after that. So he'd never even really heard of the Mormon church before. And that was really sad. We do a lot of work with these people, a lot of work with people who've maybe just need a little extra boost. They come maybe once a month, they come all the time. I do a lot of work with people who haven't stepped foot in years. I think so that's sometimes the most rewarding, is working with them, because you see them come back and they recognize the change as they more fully devote themselves to the Lord as to when they're doing it part-time. I served in 8 areas on my mission. I'd say the number of, the population of the ward was pretty variable. In one ward, there was about 250 people every week. That was an amazing ward. And then I got transferred to literally the neighboring ward. There's maybe 100, if that. So it varies a lot. And there's some branches. There's actually a lot of wards that, because it's funny how it works out like this. Like the smallest ward in the entire mission, Fox Hollow Ward, is probably one of the biggest attending. But some of the huge wards, there's a ward Strasbourg, it's half the mission, is literally this one ward. And I never went there, but I hear the population is so sparse. So few people come to church that it's ridiculous. So, and downtown not downtown, there's this place in Thornton, Colorado, North Glen. One of the wards had about 1,000 people on the rolls, but only about 100 would come. So it's places like that you have a lot of work to do. So probably 70 to 80% of the mission lives with members of their local ward, usually in the basement or in a spare bedroom. It's really nice and really terrible at the same time, because one, you're held accountable for all the time for if you're home or not. That's really good for missionaries. But there's also a lot of people who are very persnickety about their stuff, and if you put a toe out of line, they'll let you know. And there's also a lot of people that live in apartments. I guess the mission is pretty split between areas that are big enough for cars, so don't need to worry about transportation there, and areas that have bikes. There are some areas that you get around by bus. They'll give you some RTD tickets through the mission. I was mostly on bike my entire mission. There's a few lovely hills. I don't think there's anything bad happening to anyone besides maybe getting rear-ended. A few missionaries totaled their cars, but it's life. It happens.